Good morning. Welcome to DoorStepOfWealth.com's video library. And today, as always, we've got Mr. Lamont Dupree here. He's author of Go Do Your Something. He's a teacher, educator, loves young people, loves inspiring them. And so we're going to talk a little bit today about how young people can find the resources to go to college, find the funds, and how important it is so that when you graduate college, you're not strapped with thousands and thousands of dollars of debt because of paying for your schooling. So Lamont, good morning. How you doing today, sir?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm thankful. How was your week?
It's been good so far, man. I cannot complain. It's been lovely weather here, and been able to get out a little bit, do some running, and just keep it moving, man. It's been a good week so far.
Okay, so you're a runner, so you run.
I do run, yes.
Okay, how far did you go today?
I hadn't gone anywhere today yet, but yesterday I try to do at least 4 miles each time I get out.
Wow, yeah, you're a runner. 4 miles, that's running. Yeah, that's running.
But you ride, so you know
Yeah.
you go farther than I would, you know, on an average. When you get out, I do 4 miles. You might do 40. So that's the difference.
Well, the difference also, I do time. I stopped looking at miles and things like that when I was in my college years. I ran cross country and track, so we ran 75 miles per week. That was our training schedule. And so, after 4 years of doing that, I just, running to me stopped, a long time ago. But I do enjoy riding. I usually ride 40 minutes. Try to get out and get at least a good 40-minute ride. After that, I'm thinking about all the other stuff I got going on in my day. If I'm on vacation, I want to run a couple hours. Yeah, cool.
Right.
Every day, I tend to want to keep it, down under an hour. So, but 40, so 4 miles, that's a good, 40-minute, maybe.
Yeah. I try to. Yeah, it'll take me about 40 minutes, depending on what I'm trying to do. So.
Yeah. That's good.
Yep.
Okay, so when young people decide that they want to go to college, the next big question, Lamont, is how do they find the resources? Where is the money? Now, some young people don't have parents that are just financially rolling like that. Most of our young people, I know when I started to go to college, I had to go with grants. I got a scholarship. I was able to run track and get a lot of that paid for. But a lot of young people don't have money. So what should they do?
Well, that's a good question. And, the average cost of a public, education in where this right now is about $10,000 or so per year. And then if you look at a private school, you're looking at about $36,000. So
Wow.
it's a major investment to go to college, and we hope that it's an investment. And one of the things you got to make sure is that you are making the investment in something that's going to be lucrative for you. And when I say lucrative, I'm not talking about you're going to make millions of dollars, but it's going to, an investment is an investment only if it pays off. And, you are paying for an education, you're paying for the knowledge that's going to hopefully get you into the marketplace, give you that skill set, give you those the knowledge base and the wisdom to get out into the marketplace and to make a difference and to do your something and so you want to make sure that you're making wise decisions in terms of that. Now, go ahead. Where are we going?
As you were talking about making that decision, should the parent be involved in that process as well?
Yes.
That conversation.
Yes, because one of the major resources a lot of students know about is FAFSA, which is, of course, the financial aid process where you go online, you complete the FAFSA form as FAFSA, and that's FAFSA.gov. And so it's a government-run program. And even if a student isn't trying to get student loans, isn't trying to get the grants, they have to a lot of schools require them to fill that information out. And the parent's information has to go on that form. So the parent definitely has to be engaged in this process. Because their tax information is the information that's included on that FAFSA form. And so, they don't have a choice. They need to be engaged in the process, and they need to be helping the student kind of navigate that. And if the student doesn't have, or the parent doesn't have the resources or the wisdom or understanding of that process, there are some organizations that can help them fill out that form. The school can help, the counselor can help them complete that information. So if you don't understand it, and it's a pretty, it's not a hard process as far as completing that FAFSA information. But if you want help, again, I would encourage people to seek it. There is information online to complete that information. What I would be cautious of is someone that's saying, okay, if you pay me, I'll do this for you. You want to make sure that there is enough resources, I think, in each person's community that they can get that help without having to pay for it unnecessarily.
Okay, now is there like school counselors? Will school counselors help in that process? Is that their role, or their role is something totally different, just helping you find out basically what major you want to go into?
Well, one of the things that I would say school counselors are a good resource. Also, the advisors of the college or institution that you're trying to go to will be helpful in that process as well. Sometimes they have individuals that are dedicated to helping students with that, completing that form and making sure they're getting the necessary aid in order to go to their school. So you can talk to your college or institution that you're interested in attending. Your four-year universities, of course, they have people that, but I've seen this, done exquisitely on the two-year college level, because oftentimes those students that are attending your two-year, your community colleges, they are, a lot of them are going to be eligible for that financial aid, getting the grants and Pell grants and that kind of thing. So there are resources out there. You just got to look for.
Now, if the student is independent, maybe the student is a little older, and they decide to go to school after not deciding to go to school. Maybe they were just working for a couple of years, or they was in the military for a couple of years, got out the military, and they're an independent student. Is the process the same for them as well?
I've got to look at that. I know that depending on your age, and there is an age limit as to when a student can file independently. And because a lot of students back when I was in school, a lot of students were trying to, save that. They didn't have any money because they were independent. And so they didn't have a lot of income. And nowadays there's an age cutoff that regardless of what your age is, you have to have that parent information. And I'd have to look at that to see exactly what that number escapes me. But at some point, yes, you can still apply for it. But again, there's an age, and I want to say it's 20 something. So it's not like you can be, 19 and still say I'm independent and be able to apply. They're still going to ask you for your parent or guardian information. And I'm thinking in only extenuating circumstances can you kind of skirt that. If you are emancipated, if you are, part of the foster care system, I know that there may be some, issues there, and that you may not need your parent information in order to do that.
Yeah, or if you have a deceased parent, your parent's not in your life, then definitely you could probably go ahead and say, hey, I'm independent.
Right.
Okay, great.
Right.
Great. So what else do you have for us helping young people find the money? Where is the money for them to go to college?
All right. So like I said, we already mentioned the FAFSA, and with that financial aid, there are different resources. Of course, they have grants, and they have loans, student loans. And the difference between a loan, obviously, and a grant is that a grant is money that you don't have to pay back. It is given to you, or given to the school, and it goes towards your tuition, your fees, and that kind of thing. And then, of course, there are those student loans, those infamous student loans. And the loan is something that you are required to pay back once you have finished that level of schooling. And it's really after you finish, if you're in a bachelor's program and you use and you take out a student loan and you move on to a master's level program, you're not required to pay back or start payments until you're finished your schooling. So if you go from a bachelor's to a master's or a PhD, they don't require you to start paying that back until you're no longer in school. And even if you are in school and you finish up your bachelor's and you get out and you start working, you start paying back that loan. If you enroll again, then you can possibly stop payments on that. But I mean, those are the options there.
Yeah.
And then there are scholarships, and you hear every year about, it makes the national news oftentimes, but
Right.
such and such student has gotten, X $1 million in scholarship offers, or, hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships. And so scholarships are out there, and it's just a matter of being diligent and looking for those scholarships and applying. You can't just find them, but you gotta apply.
So there's a lot of paperwork involved in this process. There's a lot of crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And so if you're not a detail-oriented young person, you're going to have to find someone that can help you in this process, because it's all paperwork. We're talking about documentation. So you got to go through the process of filling out all this paperwork, and that's going to take some time on your part. You're going to have to be willing to invest the time that's going to take to find the money to help you go to college. What about the military? You haven't mentioned anything about the military. A lot of people, at least the young people, are told, go to the military, make a little money, find yourself, because and then let the military pay for your college. Do you know anything about, or is that something you recommend to a young person to help find?
Oh man, that's an excellent question, and we can probably do a whole nother segment just on that. But yeah, there are opportunities out there for students to go into the military. I've seen, and you can do it. There are two different ways to do that. One is to go into the military, straight out of high school, for example, and you go in and you do your service time, and perhaps while you're in school, while you're in the military, you can be attending classes. I know that there are some programs that will allow you to do that. And then once you get out, I know that there are some opportunities for the government to pay for your education once you finish up your tour of duty or your military service. And I also know that there are some opportunities that if your parent was in the military, that there are some opportunities there for the government to pay for your schooling as well, based on your parents' service. I talked to some students, and there are different programs in regards to that. You want to talk to a recruiter or someone, have your parent talk to their duty station or whomever, and ask about those questions, because I think there are some differences there, so you want to find out that information. But then there's also opportunities to go to school first and then go into the military, based on you're saying, hey, I'm willing to, in exchange for your paying for my schooling, I'm going to give you X number of years of service. When I was coming out of high school, I was recruited, and I'd already had in my head that I was not going into the military. That was not even an option for me. But I remember having a recruiter actually send me information, talk to me. They wanted me to go into I think it was the Navy, and your branch.
I can see you today. Yeah.
I said if I were to go into the military, I was going to be going to the clean side, man. I said I was going to go into the Air Force. If it ever became an option, I said I was going to go into the Air Force. They seem like, they're not out there on the front line, shooting at people. But that's a whole other story, man. But this recruiter, he said, if you go into if you come into the military, you can go to school, you come out as an officer, we're going to pay you a stipend while you're in school. And it sounded really good. They were going to pay for my tuition up to a certain point. And it sounded really good. But like I said, I wasn't going to the military, so that wasn't an option for me. But that's an option for a lot of students, where they can go into school, finish up, come out with a higher rank than they would if they were just going in enlisted. And I've had some students that I know, they go in and they participate in the ROTC program while they're in college, and they're getting their schooling paid for. So definitely a good option if that's your route that you plan to take ultimately anyway.
Okay, very good. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Is there any final thoughts? We talked about helping students find resources so that they can get funding for their education. wrap it up right now. Tell us some final words. What's the best way and how students should be, the mindset they should have as they diligently seek
Oh
to get
man,
their education paid for?
that's a good question. And we'll wrap it up. Mindset is important. Mindset is saying, listen, it's got to be part of your daily ritual. As far as it's got to become part of your job. Meaning, you want to, as you're in your sophomore year, your junior year, because a lot of times scholarships come available. You become eligible starting your junior year, your senior year. And so what I would encourage students to do is make it part of their daily or weekly, you set aside some time. I'm going to look for scholarships. Two websites that I would encourage students to go to, actually three. One is fastweb.com. That's FASTWEB, fastweb.com. Scholly.com, which is SCHOLLY, and you can Google that, and then scholarships.com. You go on those websites, have it set up so that you can have a profile, whether you are based on ethnicity, based on region of the country, based on where you plan to go to college, what your parents' background is, and it'll aggregate all the information and then send out opportunities to you via email. That's an opportunity there. And then you can just set it up so this one is due here, this one is due then, and do it that way. But it has to be a system that you have in place that you're going to systematically, like you said, you got a lot of paperwork, there's essays involved. So you just got to make it part of your ritual, man, that if your parents said school is your job, well, listen, this is part of that requirement for school, to make that part of your daily or weekly ritual to make that happen. And there's money out there. If you want to make it happen, you can make it happen. Don't let money be the thing that keeps you from doing what you want to do and what God needs you to do.
Very good. Thank you so much, Lamont Dupree, author of Go Do Your Something. Is there anything like that talks about that in your book also that kind of outlines some of the places to find money?
We talk a little bit about college, and I don't think I have that specifically in my book. However,
okay.
If people have questions about that specifically, they can definitely touch bases with me via my email or go to my website and connect with me there, or connect with me on any of the social media platforms.
Yeah, so Lamont has basically said that he's opened his platforms up for you to contact him with all your information. So you do have someone willing to give you the information to help you navigate to finding something. Again, we're here at stewardshipofwealth.com. We believe it doesn't matter if you earn $5,000 a year, $50,000 a year, or even $500,000 a year. We just believe that you can become a better steward of your wealth. And we define wealth more than just money. You look at how you spend your time, or you invest in your time in the right things every day. Also, we talk about your talents and gifts. Are you developing those so as you get older and more wiser, people can see the God-given gifts that God has put inside you, your purpose. So again, thank you so much. Keep praying, keep believing with God. All things are possible.